Okay, heading into a bye week, it obviously comes at a good time for a number of reasons. Heading into Baylor, we tried to convince them that we had enough in our tank to be able to go play a good football team, and looking back on it, don't know if we did. They were obviously a lot more energized, fresh, excited, ready to play more than we were, and it obviously showed out there. So moving forward, this week will be, we gave them Sunday off, we gave them Monday off. Big week for academics. Midterms are next. They come out on Monday, so the guys will be, heavily involved in a lot of academic things this week. Rest and recovery is extremely important. We have a beat-up football team. We've been playing a lot of snaps defensively, and those guys are a little wore down. Had something to do with what happened on Saturday. Defensively, the other part of that is Baylor's really good offensively. But been playing a lot of snaps defensively. Offensively, we're playing more bodies, just because we're trying to figure out, what our dynamic is and what our makeup needs to be. But really, just got to get healthy, and got to get away from it for a little bit this weekend. In the meantime, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll get out there and we'll try to just keep improving. I think we're a football team that is very inexperienced, that needs to keep playing, needs to keep improving. That's coaches, I got to keep improving. All the assistants, the continuity within the all three sides of the ball, coaches-wise, needs to keep improving. Obviously, the players need to keep improving, and then just what we're seeing on the field, offensively, defensively, special teams needs to keep improving. Take this week, rest, recover, re-energize, get yourselves ready to get back here on Monday, and prepare yourself to play a good Texas Tech team. We don't have school Monday and Tuesday, so we'll have 2 good work days at the beginning of the week, and then move forward with the game week after that. So injury-wise, I go through the injury report and all that, where we're at, because again, this week's important to get these guys back. But Dustin Garrison and Nick Witkowski will get strong enough this week to be able to practice next week. We should see them back. Ricky Rumpf left the game with a foot that he couldn't play. He'll take this week and get healthy and be ready to go next week. Quentin Spain left the game with a concussion. He'll be clearing this week and be ready for practice next week. Ivan McCartney missed the game with a concussion. He'll be cleared this week and be ready for full practice next week. We'll rest Clint Trickett this week. With that shoulder, we're going to give him the whole week to rehab it and get it and strengthen it to where he should be 100% next week. Don't know if that's going to happen for sure, but we'll give him this whole week off and let him rest and let him strengthen that shoulder to hopefully get him back on Monday. Ford should be stronger this week than he was last week. He practiced some last week. I didn't feel like he had practiced enough, or his shoulder was his pec muscle was strong enough to be able to take the reps in the game. So we went with Paul instead of him. But he should be stronger this week and even stronger next week, to where he'll be strong enough to play and practice after. We'll see. Wes Tonkery's got a thumb. I think he broke his thumb. He's seeing doctors today. He'll be out this week. I don't know what his status is for next week. Mario Alford's got a shoulder. We'll probably keep him. He didn't play in the game because he had a shoulder, so he needs to continue to strengthen that this week. How much he can do, I'll find out today. And I believe that's it. So that's where we're at injury-wise. And again, there's a lot of college football. Everybody's dealing with the same thing that we're dealing with right now. You got to deal with it, but you got to take this week and you got to regroup and you got to get healthier, which I fully expect to do that. Get the guys back on Monday and be prepared to have a great week to prepare for Texas Tech. So with that, we'll take some questions.
Daniel, you say that Trickett's basically just going to be given the week off and hope that he's 100% at Texas Tech. And that seems to me, and from what you've said previously, that he is your quarterback, and there's pretty much no question about that. Is that true?
Not prepared to say that because I don't think Ford did anything to flat out lose the job. So we're talking about, and it's a dynamic I don't like, and it's a dynamic that is not beneficial to your football team, beneficial to your offense when you're having an offense that's got so many new parts, so much inexperience. It's not the way I want it to be. But the reality is we've played 6 games and we've had 3 quarterbacks start 2 games each. So they're all guys that just haven't played very much, and you know, that for whatever reasons they you know, whether it's injuries or how they've practiced or how they've played in the game, we just got to keep evaluating them. Okay, now Clint played really well against Oklahoma State, played very average against Baylor. You know, whether it was shoulder, whether it wasn't a shoulder, I don't know. I haven't coached him long enough to figure it out. I do like his grit, and I do like how he toughed it out and he got out there and he played through it, and it was a challenging environment, a challenging situation that he didn't just turn it down. We're really happy to see that. Have liked Ford's mentality. You know, I mean, the guy just tore his pec muscle. I mean, it's not anybody's fault. He's just got to let it heal, and then he's got to get out on the practice field, and we got to see how he continues to progress. So, you know, that's what Monday's for. We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll look at them. You know, I will go with Clint unless Ford does something in practice, and then we'll go from there.
At any point in your career, have you dealt with an offense like this? So many questions at the midway point, so many moving pieces.
No, I haven't. It's you know, we knew we were going to be a work in progress. Everybody knew that. I mean, I knew it. Y'all knew it. Our players knew it. Everybody knew it'd be a work in progress. We wanted it to come together quicker. You know, I mean, I wish I was sitting here after 6 games saying that we know who we are, we know where we're at, and we know where we're going, but that's just not necessarily the current situation. I don't think it's anybody's fault. It's just, you know, we've played some pretty good teams. We got a lot of inexperience, had some injuries that we got to deal with. We're dealing with a lot of the same stuff that a lot of people across the country are dealing with. So what you got to do is you got to line up and you got to try to figure out what you can do to get better every day. We got things that we can work on today that we did wrong on Saturday, and that's what we'll do. We'll go out and we'll work on them and just try to get better at a couple of things each and every day. I mean, that's what our whole team needs to do, and that's what we'll do offensively. You can see some things happening that shows improvement. You know, whether y'all want to believe that or not, you can see some things that's showing improvement, not to the level of consistency that needs to exist to be a functional offense to where you can win some games, especially in a game like that. You know, I mean, that game was, you know, similar to last year's game, other than the fact that offensively we weren't able to make those plays downfield. Last year we made those plays downfield, and it ended up a 70-63 game. You know, this year we were just not good enough to be able to make those plays consistently, and we knew if it was going to be a shootout, we were going to be in trouble.
What are those things? The things that we might not be seeing, the improvements that you've picked up on?
Just, you know, guys understanding what to do, you know, getting better at their technique. You know, our guys are playing with effort. They care. They're trying. You know, there's just a lot of, you know, it's as simple as, you know, Pat's the new center, so the snap is a little off at times, which affects the timing of a run play. The backs can't hit it, you know, because the timing's all screwed up. You know, we got a quarterback that's trying to throw a post route to 5 different guys that he's never thrown post routes to. Well, based on how fast the receivers are and the relationship that exists between the quarterback and that specific receiver, that ball needs to be thrown differently according to who the guy is. It's just stuff that when it happens in the course of about a second, plus you're getting pounded, I mean, that's just hard to, it's hard to do. Last year, it was, you know, Gino to Stedman on those 5 post routes that were touchdowns. was a lot easier because those guys have been doing that together for the last 8 years. So, you know, we got one to Kevin, you know, which looked good. Got a couple of them to Kevin, which looked good. You know, we got Charles loose, you know, in open field. If we get him loose in open field, we think good things are going to happen. So just a couple of, you know, we just got to, you know, it's just a continuity. We got to keep improving, getting better.
With what you're saying, the coach is in a real dilemma, I guess. Weakness is something that you should attack. Yet it sounds like you got a quarterback with a bad arm, throwing the receivers who he's never thrown to, that you really can't attack the way you want to. What do you do? I mean, you obviously tried to attack it.
Oh yeah, we tried, and we're going to try it again. I mean, we're going to figure out what we feel like can work, and we're going to try to put ourselves in the best situation we possibly can. And if it doesn't work, we just need to point it out, and then we need to do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, to the point where it works out. I mean, that's the only way you can do it. You can't wave a magic wand or, you know, put some sort of a spell over them to be able to make that stuff work. You just got to play. You need reps, you need time, you need practice, you need the proper mentality, you need a whole lot of stuff to make it work. It's a hard game, and we've played good teams. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
What are your thoughts offensive line-wise, how they play?
They've played like our whole offense has, just inconsistently. You know, I think we're developing some continuity right now with those guys. I like our lineup. Those guys will continue to get better at what we're asking them to do. Pat's going to become a better center. Quentin's going to become a better guard. You know, Fight and Kendler are still getting better. Fight probably played his best game the other day. You know, Nick gets a little overmatched at times, but tries hard. You know, the three young guys will continue to get better. They struggled in the game the other night. They've struggled at times this year, but Pankey and Orlowski and Lucas Marquise will continue to get better. They're just not at the point where they can be, you know, overly productive at this point, but they just need to keep working. They got 2 freshmen and a sophomore there. It's hard to play that position when you're that young. So they're inconsistent. We do like our lineup, and we think they'll continue to gel, and we need those 3 young guys to keep pushing.
We got our first chance twice. The targeting rule was used, and once it was overturned, and once they upheld it. Now that you actually saw it out there, I mean, do you use the film or anything, and now say, okay, this is it specifically, or you know, this is what we're trying to avoid, anything like that?
Well, we've done all that. I mean, we've done all that, and they were for specific reasons I won't go into it. They were looking for that. They were looking for it, and the one on Cook was just horrendous, horrible, the worst call ever. It was bad. I mean, you know, I don't want to get reprimanded or anything like that, but they obviously overturned it and they admitted their mistake, and we're not going to go into why the rule is what it is, but Darwin did everything we asked him to do. I mean, he turned his head, and is there going to be contact head to head? It's unavoidable, but he did not lead with his head. He did exactly what we asked him to do. The other one was confirmed, and I agree with it. You know, it's with Pankey. He's going to have to sit out the first half against Texas Tech. He was peeling back, and it was the defenseless defender. You know, he was running to get the quarterback, and he didn't see the old lineman come. And Adam's a big person, and he came and he hit him, and he wasn't malicious with it. He hit him, and it was head to head. So you got to turn your head, and you got to hit him with your shoulder.
Dan, the way you guys are working on the offensive line this year, it's more man stuff, more physical, right? It's I don't know, is it take different bodies or a different approach, and are you guys there to be consistent with? Is that one of the things, like the period of adjustment just hasn't existed?
I don't really understand the question.
Like physicality, right? That seems to be what Ron really likes to do. It's a little bit different than what you wanted to do.
Yeah, we're going more at
Right.
it.
Are you guys where you need to be there?
Are we there yet?
Good enough. How's that?
Yeah, we're good enough. No, we're not good enough. I mean, There's been a lot of things that are targeted properly, and our pad level's been good, and we're coming off, and we're doing some good things. We're improving on that. Is it a winning formula at this point? It's hard to be good at just lining up and running the ball at people. If you want to compare it to a winning effort, then look at what Baylor did. And what they did was they came off the ball and they established the line of scrimmage 5 yards downfield. What we did was okay, but it wasn't a dominating performance to be able to do what they did. I mean, it was night and day.
You've said you're happy with Keith's approach defensively, and obviously through the first few games had a lot of good things to say about him. Last week was the first time you guys really were tested vertically, and they had some success doing it. Still happy with that? Did you see things that you liked, didn't like? What made it different from last year when you guys had the same trouble?
We reverted back to a lot of the stuff that happened last year. I mean, when we got down 21-0, and we knew the environment was what it was, and the situation was what it was. A lot of guys hit the panic button, and defensively specifically, I'm talking about here, they hit the panic button and started losing some of the discipline that we've been teaching for the last 8 months, which was discouraging to see. Now we've done a relatively good job of stopping the run with a relatively weaker box, to keep the safeties deep, to protect the corners. When Baylor established the run like they did, that was something that hadn't happened in the previous 5 games. Now why did that happen? I mean, I can give you 1,000 excuses about why it happened. I mean, basically, they whipped our tail. And so what do you have to do? You got to change something. So now you got to start crowding the box. You got to start bringing safeties down. You got to start pressuring. You got to start doing a variety of things, which puts corners at, it puts them out there in the open field. And they had 2 guys on the open field that could just flat out just go. And some of those throws and catches were really good. Even when we had good coverage, it was just like, gosh dang, they still made it work. So, and then it just steamrolled from there.
It's been a roller coaster 3 weeks with 2 blowouts and 1, upset victory. How's the senior leadership been for you? Have you been pleased with the guys? How they've stood up to the 2 tough losses?
Yeah, I have been. I made reference to that last week. When we came back from Maryland embarrassed and disappointed and all that. Darwin Cook, Shaq Rowell, Will Clark, Doug Rigg, Pat Edgar, Curtis Fight, Charles Sims, Nick Kindler. I thought those guys did a great job. Those are our senior leaders that we're talking about. We need more guys to emerge. They don't have to be seniors. They can be juniors, sophomores, freshmen, for all I care. Need to keep developing that, which we are. Did a great job coming back for Oklahoma State. That's everybody was happy about that. Okay, well then we took a step back, going and playing in a very difficult environment, in a very difficult situation. We weren't up for the challenge. I'm going to lean on those guys again for going through the off week and then getting into a game prep week versus Texas Tech. I mean, those guys, their job's not done just because they did it one time. So we need them to bring us back, and we need to get back on track. We need to, again, prepare to have a good preparation for game week against Texas Tech and get out there and play our tail off. The environment that needs to exist for Texas Tech needs to be the same environment that existed for Oklahoma State. And we need to win. And then it comes to at what point is this football team going to be able to have some consistency to it? That's the next step. But we got to get to the next win before we get to being able to address that.
Did you happen to watch Gino last night play? And
I did.
Any kind of emotions watching that, especially in lieu of what you're going through here this year with your quarterback?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have him. It'd be nice to have any number of the 6 last ones that I've had, but You know, who knows? I mean, you know, which one of these guys are on our team right now that can end up improving to the point to where they can be the next guy? I mean, they just got to keep playing. You know, you look at Clint and Ford, they've played 2 games in a Mountaineer uniform. You know, they got to just continue to get better. I mean, it's unfortunate that both those guys are dealing with injuries, but they got to continue to improve, and I have all the confidence in the world in those 2 guys that they will continue to improve. It was fun watching Gino. It was fun. That's a difficult situation that he's overcoming, you know, and having a ton of success, and said it from, you know, ever since he was done playing for us, he's going to be a great pro and play for a long time.
Last week you said you were going to be auditioning kick returners during practice. Went into the game, had more success with it than you had. Have you found someone? I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
I think so. I think so. We improved on kickoff return. I thought our special teams played well. I thought we won the kicking game. We covered well. You know, their average starter drive was 25. Our kick return was better. You know, we didn't have any inside the 20, and our average was like 30, I think. You know, Nick did good. You know, they got no return yardage on us on punt. You know, we created a turnover and scored a touchdown. We got an onside kick. We executed it. So I think we won the kicking game. I think we're continuing to improve on the kicking game. Wendell Smallwood did, you know, the wind was, so he caught a couple like this, which made me nervous, but the wind was kind of swirling a little bit. Did a relatively good job catching it and just moving forward with it. And I think Worley, you're going to like what you see out of him once he gets an opportunity to catch it and go forward. And you know, we got a couple other guys we'll keep working with, but today we'll get out there and we'll work hard to keep trying to improve.
You know, on the communication stuff, I understand that the pace is the one thing you can't do, right? But can you really not get in or get out of plays? And how was Clint when he sees something and wants to change?
He's not there yet. I mean, we're not at a point with him. Paul changed a couple of plays, but we're not at a point with Clint where he's going to change the play. I mean, that's a separate discussion. That communication is one discussion. Him understanding the offense well enough to be able to get us into better plays is a whole nother discussion. The communication was again average at best, and we'll work at it again today. I didn't like our tempo. I don't know why, but our tempo wasn't as good this Saturday as it was last Saturday against Oklahoma State. You know, ultimately it's on me, obviously, but I got to get them to where we're pushing it along a little bit farther. We had enough success offensively where we could have pushed things a little bit quicker. And that some of that's on Clint. I told him that. I was like, look, your sense of urgency needs to pick up. You know, I'm going to get you plays. You need to see it and understand it, and you need to get it relayed and do it quicker. And we'll work that hard this week. You know, even with him and his thought process, he can work that this week. And then coming back next week, he'll be able to take the live reps.
Ford a little bit better than that?
Yeah, I thought so. In his 2 weeks that he was in there, I thought he was. Paul probably does it a little bit better just based on all the reps that he's gotten over 3 years. Ford and Clint both will improve with reps and improve with time. When it comes to communication, what to call and how it looks once we call it.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.